Good afternoon, Central Oregon and beyond. This is Josh coming at you with another episode of Apres Chats, my podcast-style talk show all about Central Oregon, sports, outdoors, and so much more. It's another warm, sunny Central Oregon day over here. Temperatures are again rising, and in today's episode, we're going to be going over how you can kind of save some money and make your own rooftop solar shower. Mine's actually drying right now. Hopefully, it's going to be more than just a gravity shower, a little bit of a pressurized dealio there, but a lot cheaper than buying those big box ones. But of course, we got a few things to cover before we get to that, and this is Apres Chats. So first and foremost, let's head on down to J-Dub and let's make a nice, tasty, refreshing cocktail for these warm, sunny summer days. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another after-hours cocktail session down here at J-Dub. It's been another hot, sunny summer day out there today. So again, we're kind of looking for those refreshing cocktails this time of year. This is going to be one that I honestly just kind of came up with last night for a regular. We were looking for a good, refreshing cocktail for them to drink, and this is kind of the direction that we ended up going down. Now, we started with the basics of a gimlet-style cocktail. It was going to be a vodka gimlet. So that's really just going to basically be a little bit of vodka, some lime juice, and some sugar shaken up. You can also do those with gin, a little bit more commonly, but then we kind of went from there and we tweaked it up a little bit and we came up with this tasty little number. We're calling this a Crater Lake Mule-Teeny. That was the word we came up with for it. So we're going to start with just a little bit of lime juice in our glass here. Just going to squeeze about a half a lime in there, get some of that nice zesty lime juice. And then on top of that lime juice, we're going to add a little bit of triple sec, just to bring another citrus flavor into it. It makes it just a little bit more complex on that, and just a splash of simple syrup to sweeten it up. Now, while we're working on this, we're also going to start chilling down our martini glass here. We want that nice and cold. On these hot, sunny days, we're really looking for those cold drinks out there. So we're going to add a little bit of ice to this whole concoction, and then we're going to hit it with our main spirit, which is going to be a Crater Lake Sweet Ginger Vodka. This is going to bring that ginger aspect to it. We're not putting any ginger beer in this Moscow Mule. It's just going to be a pure martini style. So we're going to hit that with about 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces of vodka, kind of depending on your mood that night, depending on what you've been dealing with all day. Then you're going to give that a really good shake. So when we're shaking this cocktail, we're really looking to boulder up that ice a little bit. It's called bruising the ice. That's when you're going to get those nice flakes on top of the cocktail, but it's going to add a nice chill to that beverage for us. Once you've gotten that shaken, you're going to discard that ice to chill the glass down. You're going to grab your strainer. Get that beautiful cocktail. And for this one, we're just going to garnish with a nice little lime wheel. And that is going to be your Crater Lake Mule-Teeny. Cheers, guys. And there you have it, my friends. That is the Moscow Mule-Teeny, made with Crater Lake Vodka. It's a local company here. I like kind of trying to support those local companies, but that is a delicious, refreshing cocktail for one of these sunny summer days. Just nice and refreshing. And of course, you know, always got to love supporting a little bit of local. Hey, if you're interested in having one of those, swing on down to J-Dub and say what's up to me sometime. I work down there full-time, all the time, anytime. There's a really good chance you'll find me there if you ever happen to swing through J-Dub. Diving into the local weather, it's another warm week out there today, my friends. As of recording this is Friday. This should be coming out tomorrow afternoon. So tomorrow, it's going to be another one of those 100-degree days. That's Saturday. Moving into next week, we do look like we're on a bit of a cooling trend. A little bit of a chance of precipitation on Sunday. Not a whole lot. It's just really more likely those kind of afternoon thunder showers are a little bit potential again. And speaking of those afternoon thunder showers, the last round of those midweek last week did start a little bit of some fires out there, especially down south, kind of near Wickiup, Diamond Lake area, and then kind of all scattered throughout the state. So you do want to be paying attention to that AQI value out there right now, especially if you're sensitive to air quality being a little bit lower. We're kind of entering that fire season. It's a little bit early right now. We've had a really, really hot, dry summer so far, so it's highly likely that those fire season is going to continue through the course of the summer right now. Just keep your eye out on AQI values. They haven't been anything too severe so far, sitting right around that 100 AQI mark. But if you're sensitive to that, it could be going up, and it's just something to be paying attention to, especially if you are sensitive to that. Like I said, this week we are on a little bit of a cooling trend. Hopefully by next week, we're actually seeing highs right around 90 degrees instead of close to that 100-degree mark. Of course, that is all subject to change, but that's just the forecast as we see it right now. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I did make my own solar shower for the ambulance. It's kind of a conversion from one that I had made previously, but we're going to dive into that right now. Check it out. Great way to save some money, and that way you can have a solar shower to rinse off your feet, rinse off yourself, anything you need to be spraying off after a long day of playing outside. Let's check it out, guys. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a little project hour. Yeah, this episode, I'm just kind of using Apres chats in this new format as a way to explore different things that I could do, different things I could share with you. And I end up doing a lot of DIY at home projects. Living out of a van and having access to the shop space at my folks' place, it kind of lends itself to just doing a lot of things myself instead of paying for the retail version of it. So today we're working on a solar shower. Now, years ago, I built this guy actually off of a guide that REI shared. I'll link that down below as well in the comments if you want to kind of see where I'm getting my basis from. I built this years ago. It's a decent little solar shower, but it's seen years and years of kind of sitting and drying and like undrying and all of that. And it's got a lot of leaks in it. This is supposed to be a pressurized shower, so I can actually have some pressure in the system. But it's time that I get a solar shower on top of the rig. So I'm actually going to cannibalize this shower a little bit today and make it bigger and better, hold a little more water, and just kind of be all around a slightly better setup for myself. Walk you through the basics of what this solar shower is and how it kind of worked and what we're going to do today to improve it and change it. Originally, it was just this big, long, black piece of ABS pipe that I picked up from Home Depot. This T-valve on it was used for filling it. You just pop that open, put a hose in, fill it up. And then on the end here, you'll see there's a Schrader valve, like a traditional bike valve you use for pressuring it. You can either put an electric pump on it or just hand pump it if you'd like. And then a little spigot for the water to come out. And then I've got a hose that I just attach to it and call it good. Now it's been sitting long enough. It's always had a bit of a struggle with holding pressure. It's got a lot of leaks and stuff. So we're going to kind of cannibalize it and redo it in a way that hopefully will prevent it from leaking as much in the future and just kind of keep that pressure and keep it going. So I got a new 10-foot piece of this PVC and then just a few more attachments. But basically the plan is we're going to cut this in half, use a couple pieces off of this on some elbows, and we're going to make it run about 5 feet one way, 5 feet the other way, which is going to give us close to double the water capacity. It's going to be just shy of 8 gallons of water, I believe, at the end. But we're just going to cap off the end, and instead of having the T-valve to fill it up with, I'm just going to be installing a secondary little hose valve that's going to come off the top. I can either fill it with a funnel if I don't have access to a hose, or I can just pop a garden hose on it and fill that really quickly through there. So that is the plan today. And we're going to get into start by kind of cutting this guy in half, seeing what we're working with, and then we're going to cut some portions off of this and kind of dive into it from there. I'm not going to be going super exact here. Of course, this is just kind of for me, and if it doesn't look absolutely perfect, it's not the end of my world. But, all told in materials, this project will cost you around $150 to do it yourself, or you can pay anywhere between $300 and $500 to do one or to buy a pre-made one from like REI or any of those REI or even on the ones on Amazon, Yakima. They're all relatively expensive, so we're trying to save a little bit of money here. So I just scored about halfway down the middle of this. We're just going to get to it with the saw. Going to take a little bit of time to get through her, but we'll get there. I'll tell you what, definitely takes. And we're through it. Oh, all right. So there's one cut on it. Now the other couple cuts that I'm going to need to make is cutting this guy apart. We're going to cut this section off that we're going to be attaching over here. They're just going to cut a short section out of this guy that we're going to use for connecting these two through the bend. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep cutting and get through all of these so then we can move on to the next steps. All right. So it took a little bit of time, but I finally got all the pieces cut correctly. So now I'm just going to kind of show you guys the mock-up of what the plan is here. Essentially, we're going to use the coupler and we're going to be attaching the old end piece onto one of these guys. So that's going to extend it out a little bit over the back of the ambulance for easy access. Don't want to totally seal it yet. And then going to be using a couple 90-degree angles on the ends here and attaching those two together. So then we should have, it'll equate to about 11, maybe 11 and a half feet of PVC, which puts it at right around 8 gallons of water once it's totally full up. But the next step, before I could do any of that, is to get this guy installed for filling it with. So we're going to drill a hole straight down through one of these and then basically work on pushing this up. I got a couple O-rings for it, and we're going to put some silicone seal on there just to get everything sealed up, and hopefully that should all work out properly, because that was the biggest issue, was filling it on the last one. Going to kind of ease our way through it. And there we go. I've got our nice little hole. We'll just kind of shake out the extra plastic. So now we're going to try to get this fitting in there. Now this is a hose adapter. So theoretically, I can just put a garden hose on it for fast filling, or I could just put a funnel into it if I've got a slower filling source. And the hole that we cut for this is oh so slightly smaller than this is, so I can thread it up through it, which will hopefully create a nice tight seal. It also makes it a little awkward and hard to get it tightened in there. Cool. All right, that seems to be about as high as that is going to go. So we got a nice little cap that just goes on there. That should seal that up quite nicely. And we are going to add a little silicone around that as well, just to seal it once we've got everything all kind of in place. That is going to be our fill cap. So now the next step is going to be putting all of these pieces together. So we're going to need some PVC glue, PVC cement, and all of our bits and pieces, which we've got sitting right below us. Now we've got our PVC primer, our PVC cement, and a little rubber mallet for getting everything into place. And we're going to pull this over here just so I've got a place to put the cement and primer. So first we're going to start off, we're just going to be putting an end cap on this end, just kind of sealing that all up, getting it all dialed in. So we're going to start with our purple primer, and we're going to put a pretty healthy coat of this all around the outside of this one. And the inside, whoops, the inside of our cap. So once again, we're just going to put a healthy amount of that all around the inside of this. And all around the outside of this one. That's just going to push onto there. We're going to get that nicely seated on there, and that looks like it went all the way on pretty well. I'm not going to need that rubber mallet on that one, but we do have it just in case. So next step. Now, whilst all of that dries, while I was actually putting that last piece on, I did hear a little bit of air squeezing out of here. I did kind of expect that. So the next step is just going to be putting a little silicone around that. And that will hopefully keep that a little pressure tight. And then this just has to sit and dry for 2 hours. Hopefully at that point, everything will be airtight. Everything will be pressurizable, and then it's just going to be a matter of getting it mounted on top of the rig. Of letting everything cure on this. I did run a couple tests already. I think we might have a little bit of a pressure leak, but really at this point, the only thing left to do properly is to just give it a test and kind of see what works. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a quick funnel, grab the hose, and just fill this up and see how she goes. So let me just go do that real quick. All right. So like I was saying, while we're filling this, I believe it's going to be right. It's right around 8 to 9 gallons that I can fit in this thing. And it did sound like there was a small little pressure leak actually right in this filling port that I'm working through right now. I do have an idea to try to fix that. I don't really have time to do it today, but this should kind of show you guys what's going on. And then if I need to address it, I'll kind of address it tomorrow and show y'all the finished product. Now, the nice thing about this is you can totally use a bike pump just to add a little pressure to the system, or if you have one of these, you can use a nice little electric inflator. Do that. You want to set it to about 30 psi is really just going to be kind of the sweet spot because we're just testing this a little bit. We're going to set it to right around 25. We're just going to hit run, and it pressurizes it super quickly. Now, I don't actually hear any leaks or anything going on right now, so hopefully that pressure is actually held in there. And I've just got this hose with a nice little attachment on it so we can kind of spray it, and you'll see. Water's kind of coming through the hose a little bit already. Don't remember if this is set open or not. Let's see here. All right, everybody. So we are back. It's day 2 of working on this pressurized solar shower on top of the rig. When last we left off at the end of yesterday, I had it all kind of finished up, but it wasn't holding pressure properly. Now, the issue was the inlet valve that I had made just had a leak around it. It was really hard to get a flush seal on that. So what I did instead was I cut that off, put a new end cap on, and on that end cap, I added a slightly different kind of valve. So I just have a 90-degree angle elbow kind of coming down into the whole thing. The other thing I noticed with my electric pump, it just wasn't actually pressurizing properly with that one. I'm not entirely sure what the issue was with that, but with the hand pump, it seems to hold pressure just fine. I have noticed there's a couple little leaks that I'm just going to go over with a little bit of silicone sealant, and that will take care of those just fine. But I wanted to show you guys the end product here. So basically, once you get a couple pumps in there, so now if I open this guy up, let me just open this. We have a nice little pressurized water stream here. The more pumps you do, the more pressure it gets. Let me just kind of repressure it a little bit and show you how strong this thing can actually get. I'd say that wasn't even 10 minutes of pumping. It wasn't, I mean, not even a minute, full minute of pumping, and we got a nice little stream. So now if I need to wash my feet off, if I want to rinse my bike off or do anything else at the trailhead, I've just got a nice warm water tank on top of the truck. It takes a minute to pressurize it up, and it cost me about $150 instead of like $500 to buy one from REI. As much as I love REI, this is a lot more cost effective. So if you guys are looking for something like this, highly recommend just a little DIY project there. Biggest issue I always have is the seal on these things, but I'm finding mounting things to these flat ends is just a lot easier than trying to mount it to the round tubes. So that's my recommendation for that. But otherwise, get out there, work on a little project, have some fun, and back to the rest of the episode. All right, so like you saw, there's a little bit of trial and error with these kind of things, but I'm super stoked on how this one's turning out. Stoked to be getting that on top of the rig. Actually, right after I finish recording this, that's going to be going straight on up. And then we're just going to have a little bit of water that we can use for washing off whatever we need to wash off. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Apres Chats, my friends. Once again, at the end of these episodes, I would love to be featuring you guys. So if you ever have any cool photos or videos or stories of things that you're getting out there and doing, whether it's here in Central Oregon or anywhere else out there in the world, I would absolutely love to see those. You can head on over to www.joshreports.com/submit to get those sent on over to me, and that way I can feature you in the next episode of Apres Chats. But otherwise, whatever you're doing out there, my friends, if you need your most up-to-date reports, don't forget to check me out at Josh Reports on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. And most important, my friends, whatever you're doing today, do not forget to enjoy every day. Y'all, peace.